Theosophy actually translated means divine wisdom, and it's the ancient wisdom about the cosmos and man from time immemorial. It has existed as soon as humans appeared on the planet, and these teachings is brought over into this Manvantara, our active period, from one previous Manvantara. You know, the periods of manifestation and dissolution are called Manvantara in Sanskrit, and Pralaya is the period of resting. And when a new Manvantara begins, it always starts at the same level where it had left before. It is a process of evolution which was known to every culture and to every philosophy all around the world. Well, religion comes from the Latin term religare, which means to reconnect to the universe, to the source where we came from. And that is an evolutionary process over millions and millions of years. Every physical form disintegrates one day and has a period of rest. Periodicity is a fundamental law of nature and the universe. And after a period of rest, the spiritual part of us reincarnates again and again on an evolutionary process to reach the highest levels of consciousness, to go from human to superhuman. And all the great teachers of the past, like Buddha and Krishna and Zoroaster and Jesus, they all have overcome the physical restrictions again, but they care for us, you know, they come back and back to teach us again. That is the highest consciousness, because even science says today that consciousness is the basis of the universe and brings about all the physical manifestations. And it is a process of learning in physical forms or in physical bodies. The fundamental laws is that our soul is just a spark from the overall soul on its way of evolution. You know, it is all potentially there, but it has to develop. When we reincarnate again into physical existence, we have more or less forgotten the source where we came from, and that has to be developed again slowly, because the human constitution, as everybody else, is according to Theosophy sevenfold. There are 7 aspects. And the lower quaternary is that of physical existence, and all these aspects disintegrate after we die. And only the positive experiences of every incarnation is absorbed by the higher self, or the Raya Triad, which Hindu philosophy calls Atma Buddhimanas. Atma is a universal principle of life, and it is not just mine or you Atman. Atman is universal. It is the energizing principle in everything, if it is a blade of grass or us. And that ray from what we call the Absolute needs a vehicle to express itself. Without a vehicle, there can be no expression of anything. And that is Buddhi, and Buddhi cannot act without a mind. So in Theosophy, the Absolute, or the highest level of consciousness, is expressed like the Absolute, which is latent cosmic mind. And it comes into activity with every new period after the same period of rest. It has to go through all the levels of experience in a material, physical existence or vehicle to reach these higher levels of consciousness through experience, because otherwise whatever we hear and learn is only information. And as soon as we experience, then it is wisdom, because then we really do know. I don't think so. No, there is no shortcut. We have to go through all levels of experience to become complete. Mainly by studying, that is the first one, to get inspired, and then by meditation and concentrating on what we have read and what we have learned. And we can complement each other in study groups, speaking of our own experiences. And somebody very wise recently said to somebody else, when he said, "Oh, you know so much," and this person who was spoken to said to the other person, "Do you really know? What I can say is, thus have I heard, and this is my current understanding." And that is, I think, should be our attitude. Oh yes, I'm very sure. Most of the scientists today have a very spiritual background. They know about Hinduism, Buddhism, they know about the Greek philosophers. They know everything spiritual, actually, which inspired them. And they admit it now, that they were inspired by spiritual scientists who approach it from all sides, and that all this knowledge is just a rediscovery. What is the essence of the universe? For many things, not for all, because you come to a certain point when only experience counts, and when you can only penetrate to a certain point, and then it is so subjective that only experience can do. That is why the masters say we have to develop our intuition. Only to a certain point can esoteric teachings or occult teachings or theosophical teachings be given out. But then comes a point where only the development of your own intuition and with it experience can really help you progress on the path to enlightenment. They said otherwise we just would have to write a textbook like grammar. It could be taught like grammar at school, and that is not possible. They come from previous manvantaras. What we have in front of us, they have already overcome, and they are our teachers. They come back to help us. As it's like at school, you know, the teachers, when you come from primary school, you go to high school, you go to university, you cannot go from primary school to high school, and you have teachers in between to help you progress on your path and to give you enough information that is possible. Yes, that is our goal. That is our goal, that we have to take care one day to the people who come after us, and that the whole universe, nature is all one, we are all interconnected. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky was half German, half Russian, and she had very psychic abilities right from the beginning of her childhood, actually. And when she was in London to the exhibition, this great exhibition which Albert, the husband of Victoria, had prepared, she saw in the delegation of the Indian delegation, she saw the master Moria, whom she had seen in her dreams many times before. And she tried to approach him, and he made a sign to stop, that it was not the right time. And then she met him the other day in Hyde Park, and he said that they were looking for more than 100 years for somebody who could convey the messages and the teachings of the Great White Brotherhood, but it would be a very, very difficult and job with lots of suffering. But she agreed, and she spent with him a couple of years in Tibet and was taught all that could be taught. And her psychic powers were guided in the right direction, you know, that they were not all over the place anymore. Which brings out to the world all these ancient teachings, and that was done in 1875. And then she wrote her first big book, The Isis Unveiled, And in 1888, her main work was published, The Secret Doctrine. And there were many people who had many questions. And then she had established a group around her of very serious teachers, which was called the Blavatsky Lodge. And it is still going on today. And all the questions and answers is compiled in a book from original notes. A great, great honor. And I try my best to live up to what is expected from me. People have voted for me, people have expectations, and I will try to do my best to supply them with, to help them with whatever I have found out and whichever I can help them with.